Goodbye, darling. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Go where people are the way you want them to be. Okay. So, thank you. Welcome in again. Thank you for the hearts already. We have 1,200. Thank you. And please share if you're here on a regular and you already know it's valuable. So, as I was saying before I had to set up YouTube again, before I get into today's topic, I'd like to presence myself here a little more and just give voice to just so much, just what's going on. And it's been going on. It's just more and more up to the surface. So, for those of you who are new here, my name is Naima. I'm founder of the Academy for Womanhood, where we help women grow up and become unapologetic women who design their lives based on true desires terms. And I come here on TikTok and YouTube, and I've been online for, it'll be 13 years in November that I've been online helping women worldwide. I crossed the seven-figure mark in 2017. I've helped change a lot of lives over the last almost 13 years. So you may be seeing my face for the very first time, and I just look like another Black chick on TikTok doing a live stream. But I have been in the business of helping people change their lives for almost 13 years. And further, and more importantly than that, is I was born different. So, a lot of people talk about being different, being chosen, being spiritual, etc. And most of us who really have been called to do specific work, we don't even want to do it. We have fought it. We have run from our power for years. That was me. Even when I came into the coaching industry, I withdrew for a couple years, just running and hiding because what was called on my life. So, for people like Broken Heart and other people here who are very inexperienced with being in close relationship with powerful people, very inexperienced in their real world, being in intimate relationship with powerful melanin dominant men and women. Congratulations. You're perhaps having the first time of your life experience today. Okay. So I share that for those of you who are new here, and then to reiterate it for those of you who are here often, like Chris, and to just lead us to where we're going in today's conversation. So, as I was saying before I started YouTube, is that for the last, and this is on and off, this is part of this is not even new, it's just gotten a bit louder over the last 5 days, is a sadness, um, an anticipation, um, a speed, you know, speed, for those of you who deal with anxiety and what you call fear, if you take the emotion out of it and tap into how it feels, doesn't it just feels like speed? Like it's like fast. Something is happening very fast in your nervous system. And it's because there's just a lot of fast things happening. And the women who I'm working with, clients, women in my woman community, I have a woman community where melanin dominant women are engaging in a lot of the deeper, darker work to own all of themselves. And um, it's intense. It's extremely intense. And when you start to take yourself serious, like for real, not just being like, well, I'm working, you know what I mean? Uh, the intensity really is in your face. And anxiety is one of the sensations that often is percolating. And so that's been going on with me, that just the speed of how fast things are going. And part of the feeling, and I'm going to get to today's topic, by the way, okay, which is a very advanced, all of my conversations are advancing, but this is for women who truly do live their real world as an advanced reality. It's not just imaginative. Part of the sadness is it's like this. It's like there are women in your life who you love, right? For those of you who have daughters or just sisters, maybe you're a big sister. I'm the oldest of three sisters and a brother. So maybe you have younger sisters or female cousins. Um, you have come into your own power in some kind of a way, whatever is your level of power right now, right? And you know what it took you to get there. And you know what it took for you to get to where you are now, right? It took lots of humiliation. It took lots of confrontation of shame. It took lots of like letting go of things that were once your comfort. They s- they they suffocated you, but it was a familiar pain that you hung out in for a while, and you finally let it go. And all the things, right? Like all everything it took to get to where you are now. And you look at your daughter who's 9, 10, 15, 23. You look at your cousin. I have a niece that's 3. I have another niece that's 25. My sister is going to be, or she just turned 40, I think. Um, and then I have a mom who's magical, and was raised at a different time. So, we have our conversations about her generation and what it's been like for her, and then my generation and her grandchildren. And uh, this part of the sadness for me is knowing what women are up against who decide to take their power serious. And when I say take it serious, I mean invest money to get support to do this. Because as we talk about here all the time, the system is not designed for anybody, man or woman, to be powerful. It's just not designed. It is absolutely designed to punish you, to strip you, to inflict, to agitate an internal war for any human being, man or woman, who decides to take their power seriously. And when you sit where I sit, okay, when you sit where I sit, which is, as I said, I was born, I'm an angel, I'm a devil, I'm everything. I am true walking illumination. And I don't say that, you know, a lot of people don't really have eyes, so they can't really take that in at a deep level. But when you really become this walking divinity that I'm going to be talking about here today, you engage in so much suffering so that you can end suffering. You face the dragon every day instead of putting your head down and ignoring and running and hiding so that the dragon doesn't need to come and chase you. And when you live like that, truly, and then you hire people to help you, people who clearly are beyond you, right? So even in that, there's an admission that I am here, they are there, and they can help me get there and beyond in my own way. And any man or woman who truly does that deliberately and commits to becoming what the whole system is entirely against, and you know what they're going to come up against, they're going to, and it's going to hit so much of the base nature of the human, so much of the need to belong, so much of the desire to love and be loved, so much of the quest for joy and happiness and connection that lives inside the human. It is a need of the human. And when any of us decides to get free, to truly come into our power, we know that we are coming up against the loss of everything that gives us even a modicum of that. Even if you're in a relationship with a husband who you know you can't be your whole self with, but at least I got a man. Your mother, you maintain a relationship with her, but you know she will never see you or approve of the real you. Other relationships that you have that give your biological need to belong a resting place, even though it hurts because you know you're not all of you. That's because you're bumping up against the you that wants to be free. that wants to be a walking model of divinity, and knowing that when your mom sees all of you, she's not going to approve it. Knowing that when your husband knows who you really are, you're not going to be desirable to him anymore because your relationship is dependent on you being smaller, not being who you really are, soothing his weaknesses, stroking his ego to ensure that that marriage stays intact. The whole system is designed to confront these aspects. And I have had a front row seat. When I tell you front row seat, I mean, just honest conversations with clients who are making life changing decisions to divorce or stay married, who are making life changing decisions around being visible or hiding, who are making life changing decisions about showing who they really are to their mother or not, making life changing decisions about, am I going to go this way, the way that I already know is my path to freedom and will give me everything that I need and will be happy about for the rest of my life? Or am I going to go this way and get this false comfort that doesn't feed me at my deepest levels, but at least I know I don't risk anything. I don't shake the boat. I don't have to worry about judgment and not belonging and losing this job and XYZ. And when you sit where I sit and you look at, I have such a vision for what we're doing here. And I know in part what's inevitable. It's just when people start seeing, I just know, and at a heart level, it triggers a sadness to know and to also see what women are up against. The men and women. I say women because I've just had the front row seat with a lot of women, but it's for men and women. So that's where a lot of my sadness has been coming from over the last 5 days. Just knowing what a man or a woman is up against, especially when you've constructed a life based on a lot of suppression and lies and offense, right? Uh, so that's where I am today. And also, there's always an also. I was out today, and mm, looks like now is the time to enter today's actual topic, which is all of you becoming a walking model of divinity. All of you becoming a walking model of divinity. So, is there anybody here who has that as a deep desire? Becoming all of you, what does that even mean to you? Like, really think about that. Becoming all of you. All. What, anybody want to answer? What does that mean, becoming all? What do you imagine is all of you? What do you imagine is all of you? Who wants to answer that in the chat? Hello, YouTube. What do you imagine is all of you? What is that? What does all of you look like out in the world when you're dealing with your kids, when you're dealing with clients, if you have a job, when you're dealing with your boss, when you're dealing with colleagues, when you're dealing with the men in your life, and what does all of you look like? Are you both bad and good? Or are you only good? You need a profile photo if you want to engage here. Are you only good? What does all of you look like? What does a divine being look like to you? From what, a lot of the online, a divine being is, someone who just looks good and, is love and light. What is that? What is love and light? What is that? Is that three words that come to mind when I give you a good feeling and I use spiritual words and I say things like love and universe and one love and we are one and you are important and you are God's child and we are. What is love and light? What is a divine being? When you say all of me, what do you mean? What is all of you? If we look at your entire life, have you done mean things repeatedly? Have you been selfish repeatedly? Have you done vindictive things repeatedly? Have you been in a relationship with your girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, and wanted to have sex with somebody else and did? Or even just maybe you didn't act on it, but you wanted to. Have you cussed people out? Have you thought of killing somebody? Have you asserted violence toward anybody? Verbally, physically, in thought? Hmm? So, what is all of you? What does all of you look like out in the world? Hi, Jonathan. I see you now. You got a lot to say today, Chris, huh? I have a question for anyone who would like to answer. What is a divine being? What is a divine being? Can somebody, three or four people, share with me what is your definition of a divine being? I'm bringing this to women who already know, being a reiteration, but I'm also bringing this to women who are either telling themselves or telling other people or telling me that they want to be all of themselves, that they want to be free. Who here has been saying that to themselves and other people? I want to be free. I want to be all of me. I want to be unapologetic. What is all of you? What is all of you? Does anybody want to? Somebody said operating at a higher frequency vibration. Yes. So all of me is the ugly parts too. Exactly. A person that encompasses God's omnipotent energy. Yes. Okay. So this is a mashup here. One person said the ugly parts is part of me too. A person that encompasses God's omnipotent energy. Uh, what is it? Operating at high frequency vibration. Okay, let's go here right now. So I went live the other day and I talked about um, engaging in the necessity of engaging in advancing shadow work with the help of someone, being in relationships that are crucibles so that you can get everything out of the way that obstructs love. I talked about that the other day. This is alchemy. True shadow work is alchemical. What is alchemical? It's taking everything in you, every trauma, every bad memory, your recurring negative thoughts, even unconscious thoughts which you have a ton of, that prohibit or obstruct your ability to receive what is here all the time. So you have your conscious thoughts like, I need to lose weight first. I don't like my voice. What are people going to think if I say this? I'm not qualified to talk about this online. Um, I don't want the attention from men. I don't want my family to know this. I don't want to be judged about this. Like conscious thoughts you have like this. Then there's all the things that you're like, why do I keep doing this? Right? When you can't pinpoint it, or it's a pattern that you've been living for years and you think you don't like it, this is shadow behavior acting out. Or, as I talked about the other day, anything that's not integrated is exaggerated. These are just some of the ways that what is inside of you right now that is undesirable, that's ugly, um, that you rejected long ago for whatever reasons, obstructs your ability to manifest. Re- in this case, manifest being all of you, obstructs your ability to encompass God, obstructs your ability to be all of you and to truly be unapologetic, whether on the world stage, whether in your own company, whether in your relationships with all the people in your life. And so, this, what somebody said about my ugly parts, high frequency, encompassing God, my God self, etc. You can't, for those of you who want that, you can't do that when all of your ugly is rejected by you. Say that out of your mouth. I cannot be all of myself when I reject the parts of me that are ugly. I cannot be all of myself when I reject the parts of me that are undesirable. Say that out loud to yourself. Because if you are coming to me, to anybody, to people saying that I'm all of me, I'm unapologetic from a true integrated place though, not from this, you see the women who are like so exaggerated and unapologetic and you can just see all their insecurities just beaming, or at least I can, because they're still rejecting the parts of them that would be called undesirable. The things that your mother, father, husband, men would not approve of. That stuff. This is why so much of my work is on owning your sexual energy, owning your arousal, owning your life force energy, owning your true desire, because you cannot be all of you when you reject, as Jessica talked about. Hey, Jessica, if you watch this as a replay, I saw your video where you talked about why the matrix exists and why there's so much oppression, suppression, ignorance, is because there's been rejection of both the woman and rejection of feminine energy, which are two different things. Okay. Rejection of the feminine and rejection of women, which are two different things. I agree. So, the feminine, for those of you who are honest, right? And oftentimes it depends, right? So, I won't, this can vary, but when a woman has a chance to be by herself and has time and space and she doesn't have a bunch of shit to do and she gets to go explore, she gets to really know who she is, right? For those of you who do that, have done that, right? And you get to find out the parts of you that are really naughty, raunchy, and you may even be aware of this and be in a relationship with a male person. However, there's a get to knowing of herself that a woman gets to experience when she's single that she doesn't get to experience when she's partnered up with a male. And when we really start to get to know ourselves and we tell the truth about what's here all the time, we're just pushing it away by way of avoidance, by way of projecting onto others, by way of judging. Not me. Oh, I can't. Ooh, child. And whatever, right? We all have our flavor. you find out how much of you is extremely sexual. But we already know what we're up against when we actually admit these things. Yeah. And so, how are you gonna, if you mean what you say about, I want to be all of me, if you mean that, if you mean it, right? So, this is where you start being honest. Well, I mean all of me except that. My community right now, we're taking it very slow because I know how explosive the unconscious mind is. I know how dangerously powerful women are, which is why there's so much effort to shame. People don't even know what a woman looks like. You know the kind of woman that gets praised on the internet? First of all, you got to look classy. It's either some version of looking classy, so it's a look. She could be a dumb fool with low character, and she can look classy, and we'll say, that's a woman. You look at a female person with 3 kids or a kid and a smile on her face, and just right as a wife, and see, that's a woman. You know nothing about her character, you know nothing, but that's a woman. But when we see a woman who knows who she is, who's confident, who is not going to bend because you don't like it, who is clear, articulate, goes after what she wants, is expressive. For some reason, that's not a woman. For some reason, she's difficult. She's not submissive. She's all these things. And so when you are like, I want to be all of me, one, you got to be honest. Okay, do I want to be all of me except that part that people are going to judge? Or do you really mean all of you? Do you also mean the parts of you that wants weird sexual things, or not that part? Not that part. But no, that's not, no, I don't. Sex don't have nothing to do with it. My sexual self don't have nothing to do with all of me. I'm divine, and sex don't have nothing to do with divinity. Some people put in my comments, because I have content around the internet, somebody put in my comments that sex is for weak people, or like sex or sexuality is for, I don't remember exactly, but something like it's inferior. The masculine, or I should say men, I shouldn't say the masculine. Let's make sure we don't start defiling things that, offloading onto things that don't deserve it. But men of old who have laid down what we live in today, that has modern day men just acting out what they've been conditioned, right? They bastardize everything that's lowly. So if anything is considered low, right? So your base nature, right? Men of old have bastardized your base nature while feeding that very thing in men to get them to cooperate with the system. Okay, so this could become a lot. Okay, hold on. Let me wrap this real quick to make sure here we go, the dynamism. So, all of you, let's park this for a minute. Everybody, we're making a note right here. We're bookmarking. When you say all of you, do you mean it? Or do you just mean like these parts, but not that part? So let's park the all of you and let's bring this over to lowliness. Yes, thank you. Before I go on, I am very happy to be opening up private mentorship and coaching for women who are ready for high level work. So the women who I ideally, oh, yes, 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 are women who, somebody put very demure. You know that your demure is fake. Okay. You know that it's a show. You know that it's a front. Perhaps you found great success in it, and now this success suffocates you. Now you resent people in your life because they bought into your fake demureness. They bought into your fake modesty. They bought into the presentation that you have become so masterful at putting on. So you may have the successful job, business, man, or you might be going through a divorce, because that's one of the things that happens when a lot of women start to be true and drop all the lies. You either um, have always been different. You're not different as a trauma response. You actually have been a light since you were a child. Maybe your parents saw it and didn't know how to be with you, and so you dimmed your light to fit and be loved by your parents, and you have found success, and you know how to pretend very well, but now you're done with that. You're like, I can't do that anymore. And you need, literally, you're suffocating. You need spiritual oxygen. You need to walk the path, and you need your handheld to go from suffocating, resentful, bouts of depression. By the way, that's why a lot of Black women are depressed. This what the system is talking about, we depressed because we single. No, actually, many of us, what happens is we start to come home to ourselves in singleness. Then, when we start to come home to ourselves, we face the sadness that I talked about earlier, where we can see what we're up against if we become true. We see what we're up against when we become all of ourselves and become unapologetic, whether on the world stage or not, and the kind of war we would be required to embark on. And when we are in isolation and we are alone, and if you're inhaling the internet all the time, which is just basically hell, unless you curate your feed to be nourishing and joyful for you, so much of the content is get married or else you're nothing and you're unimportant. Be scared, run, save for this because hell is on the way. And it's just, and so a lot of the depression is because so many of us are in isolation and we are rejecting so much of ourselves because society is just waiting for you to dare trying to step out here in some you better not step out here in no fucking power, bitch, because we got a sword and a switch for that ass. And we know that we're up against that. And that can trigger, when we're honest and we're vulnerable with ourselves at home, that can trigger enormous sadness, depression, isolation, wanting to just say fuck it, anger, rage, because on the one hand, you know this power in you. Even if it's not fully activated on and out living in the world, you feel it, you taste it, you sense it deep in you. And it is so beating to come out and be lived, while at the same time, you're looking all around at all the messages that trigger fear of you bringing this out. Is this making sense? Is this true for anybody here? I want to make sure. The find of our liberation means also working to liberate others. Otherwise, we're talking about the individual right now. We're talking about the individual. Okay, so that, and then the base nature. Okay, so I'm getting ready to go here. All right, the base nature. So I said, remember, we parked all of you. Do you mean it, or do you just mean the parts of you that you know are safe and socially acceptable? So remember, this is what we parked and we're going to come back to. And right here, I want to talk about how men of old that basically have saturated humanity's unconscious mind. And that's a whole other conversation. And has everybody, most people, living today with a mind that rejects anything that's base or anything that's considered low. Okay. What do I mean by that? Sex. A lot of people see sex as a low thing, as an inferior thing. Vulnerability as an inferior, weak, low thing. Um, uh, Childlike behavior. We think it's cute when children are childlike, but for a grown man or woman to be childlike is looked at as ugh. The desire to touch and be touched. When your child wants to hug, we think it's so cute and wonderful. We're like, yes, we see it as necessary, critical as part of their development. And somewhere, somehow, it got to the point where it's like, okay, well, the human doesn't need to do that anymore. And if I'm going to get that, I better either get married, right? Because that seems to be or get a boyfriend, girlfriend, because those seems to be the only socially acceptable domains to get physical touch from humans. And me even wanting that is seen as a low, inferior. You want to be touched? What? Hold on, let me come over here and look at these comments real quick. After pregnancy, I wanted to stop the mask I carried since I came to the US. Yeah. What else? Who else wants to add here to things that society deems low? Uh, a man crying. Nigga, you better grow up. What else? What else is considered low? Animal behavior, which, by the way, we're all fucking animals. Just animal behavior. The list could be so long. What else? Showing any emotion. Exactly. Exactly. Expressing emotions. Exactly. What else is considered low? Anger is even kind of acceptable, right? It's like, right? But what's low that it's infused with shame among the collective? Anybody want to go there? I wonder how much of us is extremely intellectual. Rest. Somebody said rest. Needing people. Please get a profile photo. Expressing love outside of approved relationship types. That's right. Even having an authentic conversation with a stranger, touching a stranger, noticing, having an intimate moment with a stranger. Like, you ever see somebody, you ever like watch somebody, maybe you're at a coffee shop, you're just out and you watch somebody for like 2 minutes, and depending on how sensitive you are and how tuned in you get like love them right there. A stranger, you don't know them. They don't even know you're watching them. You could be watching them from afar, drink coffee, do whatever. And you could just be watching them from afar. And you could have such emotion of this lovely being right here. And in that moment, you can have an intuitive feeling to want to go over and tell them. Has anybody experienced anything like this before? I have many, 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 many times. Just today, I was out and this old woman, I cried. This old woman, I could cry again right now, was singing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. When I say old, I mean like hunched over. She had on like a cute little green costume. She had a microphone. She was in the city center and she had her little buggy. When I tell you this woman sounded good, when I tell you this woman sang with so much passion, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Now, y'all know that's a powerful song. Girl, I took my wallet out. Girl, I was just standing there crying, was clapping before she was even done singing the song. Before she was even done singing, I was crying and clapping. Went and gave her the rest of the cash that I had on me. I think it was like $20. That could be considered for some people like, no. Somebody said, hello, love goddess. I have many times felt love, sir, for a stranger. Yep. Yeah, people do start to write you off once you appear to be difficult. Intimacy, exactly. any kind of intimacy, even. So anyway, so these are just some examples of low. And these ones that we all just mentioned here are really easy to talk about publicly. You see how we're all just saying it very easily in the comments? What about those of you who those of you who have a secret fantasy of being raped? Ooh, bitch, you that's mental illness. You better go see a therapist. What about those of you who have secret fantasies, man or woman, of dominating the opposite sex or the same sex in the bedroom? Girl, that's low. Yes, no? This is what I say. Anything that's low that has shame in it, that you know would have a lot of shame for a lot of people. Well, at the same time, this is why I wanted to park the all of you and then to bring this, the base nature of the human, which is food and connection at the end of, and reproduction is the base nature of humans. Connection, food, and reproduction, children, creating children. Okay. So let's, again, the base nature of humans, once we remove all the ideology that's been put on top of us by religion and social norms and everything, if you get rid of all the what you need to be doing and what I'm judging you for and what I'm supposed to do as a woman and what you're supposed to do, and we remove all of the supposed to, have tos, judgments, everything, and we just look at the base of the human, what is always wanting to be fulfilled on some level is food, like actual food that you eat, okay? Connection, connecting with others, okay? And reproduction, okay? This is particularly a strong drive in the male, okay? Reproduction, okay? So, the way this really needs to be said right here, not only said, but you all need to really know this and go do your research. For those of you who really feel called to do the research around this, modern day marriage, regardless of how you feel about it, please, I'm not interested in all the back and forth about all these typical conversations about marriage and all that. I'm talking about the creation of it, the intent, the original intent behind modern day marriage, not, which most of y'all probably don't even know, the original intent of modern day marriage, which was constructed thousands of years ago. Okay? The original intent of modern day marriage. Okay? Or no, we shouldn't go thousands of years back for modern day marriage. Maybe we can go back to just, um, it just really depends on what angle we want to talk about it. I would like to talk about it from the advent of the need to control land and people and resources. Okay, so we can take that back, what, 2,000 years? The need to control land and people and resources. Okay, so that's where now we need to start controlling how people think, how people live, what people do. Because if we're going to control land and we're going to control people and resources, then we need to control how these people think, how they move about life, how they govern themselves. So this is part of where Christianity becomes a thing, which, by the way, enormous amounts of violence was asserted to make Christianity the powerhouse that it is today. Y'all can go do your research. I'm not interested in getting into the details of the advent of Christianity. You just need to understand Christianity was not welcomed when it first was brought to humanity. Okay? And so, with the advent of needing to control land, resources, to create nations, right? Like, this is my land, this is my country, my city, my village, right? Because Asia has not always been Asia. I mean, they've existed, but they haven't been called Asia, Africa, United States. So, before all that, Before countries were called countries, before nations were called nations. I'm talking about back. Okay. Marriage was an institution created to control and dictate, and also power. Like, who is the power? Where is money? How is money being governed? Okay. How is it moving? Who's who? And all of this was about power and control, so that we control these things. Okay. And the actual, when y'all talk about the powers that be, the elite, the people who rule the world today, keep in mind, these people are offspring of people who are long gone. These people are offspring. Okay. And so marriage was, there's many reasons why it was created. Control fundamentally, but we needed to parcel you people out and have you move a certain way, so we know how you're living, how you're thinking. We know what your value system is because we gave it to you. Okay. We know, and also because they know the base nature of the human. This is why I brought up the base nature. This is why I said we're parking the conversation of, do you really want to be all of you or just only these parts? We're going to come back to that. And I said I want to come to this base nature because the powers that be have played on the base nature to get us all to cooperate. Okay. Because if it's just a want, you can easily sort of, but if it's a need on a biological level, i.e., your base nature, which is the need for food, the need to belong, and the need to reproduce. Again, the need for food, the need to belong, and the need to reproduce. Marriage immediately feeds your base nature, but because of the way they created it, the fact that it's even created takes away what you need. And what you need is power. What you need is autonomy. What you need is freedom, which is why so many of us today are talking about being all of ourselves, freedom, being unapologetic. And what are we fighting up against? Why is this such a war? What is this spiritual warfare about? Please understand how deep this goes in your mind, and it's been designed this way. Look at you. Never mind other people. Just look at you. Okay. And what you want. And even closer, look at why you don't take action on the things that you most want. Why do you not take action on your genuine desires? Why do you not? You're afraid of losing something. You're afraid of looking a certain way. You're afraid of what the responsibility will be when you take that action. Okay. Why? Why? Because your base nature has been played on for millennia. When I say you, I mean all of us. So, how does this relate? Why am I bringing this up to talk about how men of old have played on the base nature of humans to get us all hooked into what we call the matrix? What am I talking about? Because marriage, in and of itself, okay, and I didn't want to get too deep off into the nuance of it, but in a little bit I have to. So there are vows that come with marriage, right? And sickness and health till death do us part forever and ever. Okay. That's what do you call a spell? That's a spell, right? And it's a binding because the word, we know words are spells. So it's a binding. And everybody today just says this spell that they didn't even create. Like, did you create that spell? And sickness and health and richer for poor? No, but millions of people just blindly speak this ritual. And then we just take it even back further. You have to remember the intent of the men who created it. When you hook into marriage, you hook into their intent, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. That's another angle. There's so many different angles to talk about this app. Additionally, So you've already bound yourself in this spell with the intent that these men of old had to control and dominate people. So you agree to your own control mentally, spiritually, by even agreeing to that. Unless you're somebody who was aware of this at marriage and you had a totally different intent, you created your own vows, you created your own ritual around marriage. Your own ritual, your own vows, your own, right? And you had a totally different intent. Because two people can be married and not do it the way that it was intended by men of old. You can get married and not even do the ceremony, okay? The way the original the intent of men of old had it set up. So there's that. But then also, it plays immediately on your base nature, okay? Your need to belong, right? Marriage immediately gives you somewhere to belong, which is why a lot of people even want marriage. They want it because it's trickled down into the thing that you do to be a success. It's trickled down to become the thing that you do. It's like you check it off your, oh, I did that adult thing. You know, that thing that we're supposed to do as adults, like we're supposed to get married. Oh, I did that. Very good. Yes, right? It gives us somewhere to belong. Like, oh, right? So it's feeding on that. And then all the rules that was put into it, you know, the food part, right? It feeds the base nature of the food, particularly for males. And keep in mind, men of old created it. And this is why we're always like, marriage benefits men much more than it benefits women. And then men are like, well, it benefits, the law has it to where it benefits you and you get all my shit or have my shit when we divorce. Right? Yes? Okay. So this is a conversation. So I bring this up to talk about how that institution plays on our base nature. So it gives us what we want at a base nature, but it extracts what we need. It extracts what we need, which is if we're really going to be walking God's on this bountiful planet. Oh my God. Come on now. Come on now. The bounty that's here, the bounty. This is heaven down here. It becomes hell when you're not free right here. I'm only using the institution of marriage because of the strength that it has through religious indoctrination, which affects us socially, mentally, how we live. It obstructs love because then it binds you with saying, I have to get my love from this one person. And any love outside of that, according to men of old, is a sin. It's wrong and bad. You have a husband now. You have a wife now. You get your love there. That's the only place you're meant to get your love. But wait a minute, I thought I was divine. So that what I just shared is such a time at the tip of the tip of the tip of the tip of the to begin to talk about how our base nature is played on to hook us into what you all call the matrix. Because on top of that, which I'm not going to go into heavy right now, is in the creation of the institution of marriage, it was an immediate rejection of the power of the woman, the power of the feminine. Your role immediately became a smaller place. It immediately strips you of your fullness, which is why there's so many of the complaints from women today about marriage. All right, enough of that. I brought that up to speak to how men of old have devalued everything that's low. Connection, all these things that marriage is supposed to save you from. Okay? But yet and still, it played on your very base nature to get you to agree to its system. Can y'all see that? Ca- Is that evident? It's sort of like, anyway, I- this could become a lot, but anyway, I'll leave it at that. I realize I don't want your marriage, the traditional one anyway. Exactly. What we want is connection. So I'm getting ready to pick up where we left off right here. But what we want is connection. And we want to be able to connect, period. We don't want our connection to be limited to one person. Like, how many of you have been in love with two different people at the same time and you didn't know what to do with yourself about it because you were in love with two people and like somehow you're supposed to keep your love here. Like, this is what I mean by, do you really want all of you? Okay, so let's pick this back up now. Do you really want all of you or only the part of you that keeps you inside of this? Okay? So, Ashe. Yes, Ashe. So, picking up also not only the part about do you want to be all of you or just certain parts, but also the parts of you that are undesirable. Undesirable. What about you is undesirable? Who would like to share right now? What about you is undesirable? Are you demanding? Are you greedy? Are you underdeveloped emotionally? Are you needy? Do you genuinely have a mental disorder? Are you mean? Are you rude? Are you impatient? I need more clarity than too much. What does that mean? See, this is where vulnerability comes in. What do you mean too much? People pleaser. What does that mean? Be vulnerable. This is where you start to find your power, the all of you. And then you absorb it and you approve of it. What do you mean people pleaser? And what do you mean struggle with depression? What do you mean? What do you mean abandonment issues? What do you mean? What do you mean? I want you all to notice how generic your words are. If you're really going to be all of you, if you're going to be working with me, this is the level of clarity. And so much of your unconscious mind is where we're going to be working. I'm in a conversation right now with a woman that unconscious mind is revering its head and she's just seeing it and she's like, it's like something she didn't even see or know. Like her movements, didn't even realize these movements were unconscious behavior at work. This is a woman who wants to get free. She's ready to get her money up. She's ready to travel abundantly. She's ready for sustainable money because she's already making decent money, but she's ready to be visible, really shake some shit as it relates to serving melanin dominant folk. So if you're going to be working with me privately or in a small group, which is advancing, this is not for those of you who are, you need to be advancing, meaning you're already on this path. You've done a lot of deep work, high level work, power work, and you know that you ain't hit that spot of full power. And you ain't met nobody who has the capacity or the skill to help you get there. The nuance of you going from generic, going from, well, I'm a people pleaser, I have abandonment issues, oh, all this, to going down into the deep, the meticulousness of your emotional state, the meticulousness of why you do what you do, and the vulnerability of it. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So I want to invite you to complete the application for us to work together. If you'd like to be considered to either work together privately or in my small group. The application is, if you go to my TikTok bio, there's a link with 7 options or maybe 8. You go to the very bottom and the application is there. If you're on YouTube, the link to the application is in the description. What is evident, Jonathan? Somebody said, who is this? Liquid. Hi, Liquid. Transparency is something major, tender stuff, but good. Absolutely. Developing the literacy of the self is part of the deconstruction of systematic exploitation. Exactly. Deconstruction of systematic exploitation. So this is what I want to share to start to open you all up to yourselves, because I'll tell you, some of you don't really want to know yourselves. Not really. You like the idea of knowing yourself, but you don't really want to know yourself. Okay. It's even beyond decolonization. Decolonization is it's like up here. It's the evident, easy. It's very, like somebody here said, evident. Like decolonization work is very evident stuff. It's actually no. This work is about what is currently hidden from you, meaning you don't even think it because it's unconscious. It's in your unconscious behavior, it's in your unconscious language, it's in your unconscious decision making, it's in your unconscious way of being. So, this is what I mean by many of you don't actually want to know who you are. Because if you actually know who you are, you'll see how much of your life is a lie. And it's not until a person truly gets sick of himself, or you are so moved at such a deep level. It's one or the other. You either become so sick of yourself, right? Which typically happens after enormous amounts of pain. You face, a near death experience, a terminal illness, something extreme typically happens, or you are so deeply, deeply, deeply moved by something that is more on the inspirational side. It's typically one or the other that forges you on the path to really coming to know who you are. And when you really walk down that path and you commit, the real commitment is to unleashing everything that's currently hidden from you about you. This is where somebody will go from whatever their reality is. You may know these people where they work at this job. They've been at this job for 20 years. They've been married. They got kids. They got all of this. And you see them a year or two later, they're divorced. They live in another country. They've lost 20 pounds or gained 20 pounds. They're radically different. They talk different. They're completely different because so much of their life had been built on I have to, I should, I'm supposed to, shame, lies, trying to fit in, trying to do all the right things, trying to look good, trying to fulfill their parents' expectations, trying to look like a man of status and this, trying to look like a woman of righteousness and holiness, trying to hold it together, keep it in. And you get so good at it. You get so, oh my God, so good at it. So good. So good. So good at repression. And we're so supported. The matrix is so well crafted to support you in being repressed and trying to live up to this idea of what is a man, live up to this idea of what makes you a successful human, what's right. It is so supportive. It is so seductive. You get so much congratulation. It feeds your need to belong. You get so much congratulation when you do the thing that this is what women are supposed to do. And you get so much praise. You do all these things that men are supposed to do, and you get so much praise, but then you're like, deep inside, you don't really want to do that, but then you do it, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. And before you know it, this 1 year has turned into 23 years. And then you're 53, and you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, it doesn't feed you. It's not enough. Because again, the matrix gives you what you want, but it takes what you need. It's like, here you go. But here you go. Here you go. You're gonna look like a good man. But it takes what you need. You're gonna look like a honorable woman. Oh, he married you? You're an honest woman now. It don't even matter if he's actually a good fit, if this is the man for it don't even matter. You're married. You're an honorable woman now. And because you get so much congratulations, oh God, I'm doing it right. I'm doing ah, ooh, I belong. And it feeds that biological need to belong, to connect, and all of that. But it takes what you need which is your authentic self, your genuine desire. So then you end up, they call it a midlife crisis, right? Or man or woman, 60, you divorce their wife, who married, husband, wife, who they've been married to for 30 years. What? What? Everybody else like, they've been married for 30 years. What a success. What a success. Meanwhile, they sleep in different bedrooms. They ain't had sex in 20 years. They don't really like each other. He's on porn. They and then suddenly they divorce. What? How? What? Yeah, see, you look at yourself. And again, that's after, typically we do that after we reach a breaking point, because society is so well designed to keep you agreeing to a system that you didn't even create. So when you say to me, I want to be all of me, I will say to quite a few of you, no, you don't. Because being all of you, as several of my clients, more than several, have said to me, I know that I cannot be all of who I am with my husband. Wait, what? Wait, hold up. What? I know my husband is not going to be cool with me being who I really am. Wait, wait, so that's the deal? So you want to be all of you, but only if you can stay in that marriage where your husband don't really want to know all of who you are, but at least you get to belong somewhere. You show about that? You show about that. When you say all of you, do you mean also the part of you that wants a lot? Because see, women are famous for denying what we most want. Oh my God. We're so good. And somehow we believe that this makes us selfless and kind and generous because I sacrificed my whole life for you. I do want it, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I know I've been wanting to go for the last 3 years, but maybe next year. I know I actually want all three, but that's doing too much. That's doing too much. I don't know. I feel like I'm greedy if I do that. When actually there is a part of you that is greedy because you've let yourself go without your deep, deep desires for the last 17 years. And you get so much support. Yeah, girl. Because it's so much better to give than to receive. The caveat to that is make sure you're full when you're giving. So, wait, do you really want to be all of you? Or do you want to be all of you as long as you can look the version of woman that people will think is good? So, I want us to be clear. What do you mean when you say all of you? What, so let's revisit this question because I asked this question about 30, 40 minutes ago. Let's revisit it now that we didn't touched on this a bit. What do you mean when you say I want to be all of me? Do your husband want you to be all of you? And I'm talking to the women, but the men can say that. Do your wife want you to be all of you? Because all of you may want two more women. The all of you may actually be in love with another woman, but you keep trying to ooh, you're trying to fight it because you don't want to look like a ain't shit nigga. So what do you mean when you say all of you? Because baby, true love dramatically abounds. I know humans done bastardized love so hardcore and then turned it into, oh Lord, the myriad of distortions Baby, love dramatically abounds all the time. Let's come on over here. I got a lot of comments going on here. Exactly. Yeah, most people don't. And to be willing to get to know the you that you don't know. When I tell you the adventure of a lifetime, the adventure of a lifetime. Hello, YouTube. The adventure. Yeah, an empty cup ain't cool. That was my whole life. I'm 51, and 20 years later, don't even know who I am. And we're so supported in not knowing who we are. We're so supported. Just smile. As long as we smile real good. Women, stay. You got to make sure you look happy. Just look like it. Don't worry about actually being happy. Just look like it. Smile through the. You know what you're doing? You're training yourself to be numb when you do that. Body hurting, deepest needs ain't been met in years, angry, been dissatisfied. And anybody who's actually sensitive and highly intuitive and is looking at you can see the charade. So let's see. I let my emotions get the best of me when I feel stuck or feel. Thank you for sharing the live, Inigio and Wonderland. People don't like ugly, and ugly is what we are. Yep. The emotions, the chaos, being human is just not hot. Yeah, it's actually very hot. Actually, it's actually very hot. What makes you say, or that would make somebody say it's not hot, or it's undesirable, or afraid of being it, is because we're looking at it through a lens of shame and judgment. You ever get with a friend who knows you or knows you enough, who you feel safe around, and you feel like a bitch, and you be like, girl, I'm a bitch today, bitch. I need some motherfucking. Don't talk to me right now. Listen, right? And all your ugly is right there on full display, but it's cool because it ain't no judgment and shame around it. Truth is hot, baby. Authenticity is hot, minus the shame and judgment. This is why we love talking to strangers where they could be they self and we could be ourselves, because it's like soon as we start developing intimacy and start getting close and regular with a human, and that fear of not belonging and all that starts to come up. But when you with a stranger and it feels transient, and like on a flight, right? A long distance flight, somebody who you're just gonna see this one time. Why is it that so many of us feel so comfortable saying shit to strangers that we ain't never even said to our parents and our siblings? Free of shame and judgment, especially if they say something sensitive first, and then suddenly we feel free to share something sensitive, and before you know it, you just met this person 10 minutes ago, you don't know their name, and they know that you was abused as a child, you hate your mother, you're going on sabbatical, and you just started talking to this person 15 minutes ago because we removed the shame and the judgment, and y'all free, and that shit is hot. Thank you, Christine. That has been so rare for me to find where you get. Here's the thing, you can initiate it. You can initiate it. and they either gonna accept it or they not. So it's a risk, but you can also just be intuitive about it. You know how you somewhere and you can just you as people and you can just sort of get a sense that you can say something to somebody. You can play it that way too. I remember one time I was on this you know how you can buy everybody's pretending all the time. You know how you can buy experiences on Airbnb? I recommend that too. Even in your city where you live now, you can go to Airbnb, go to the experiences section, and try something new to go meet people. You know, you'll oftentimes meet people who are visiting there, but sometimes it's locals. And maybe go on a tour of some part of your city that you've never been to or haven't been to in years. It's super cool. But anyway, I did it in Colombia one time, and the experience was um, like a bar hop. It was a club hop, bar hop. And so this was in Medellin, Colombia. And it was a little Venezuelan gay boy and his roommate who was running it. And it was like 12 of us. And it was me. I was the only black woman, the only black person. It was this Asian dude from New York with his girlfriend. It was two chicks who was from Colombia, but they had moved to Miami and they were just visiting Medellin for a little while. It was this lesbian chick from Arizona, a lesbian white woman from Arizona. And it was, who am I missing? I just get a feeling it was somebody else who I'm not remembering right now. But anyway, so we meet at a rooftop bar. This is where we all meet. The host has us meet there. And, you know, people are, so where are you from? You know, that whole get to know you thing. And the Asian dude says to me, so what are your plans? Like, what are you doing in Medellin? What are your plans? Da, 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 da. And I said to him, I just came here to give up on life for a little while. When I tell you that was the to my base, talk about I just came here to give up on life for a little while. When I tell you the level of like literally it took him out of his performance of like being a social, so what do you do kind of conversation. When I tell you it literally just disrupted all that and he was like, oh my God, I so feel that. Oh my God, I so feel that. When I tell you, it totally shifted the energy of our interaction, the rest of the night, because then at the rest of the night, he was listening to everything I had to say. He was listening to everything I had to say, and he just seemed to be stunned by everything I was saying. Like, anyway, I won't go any further into that. But the point is, you can be the initiator of telling the truth with strangers because they're either going to join in and it's going to take y'all both into a deeper connection. Because remember, at the end of the day, that's what humans want: connection, authentic connection. And, uh, or they're going to be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I get that. Have a nice day. And want to get out of it because maybe, keep in mind, not everybody wants the truth and authenticity. That's why I said some of y'all don't really want to know all of who you are because the truth of who you are would totally make you not a good match for your current marriage. Thank you for sharing the live, goddess. And you might find that is what you needed that time, someone to listen to you. Yeah. Or vice versa. I do. You're so freaking true. I interact with strangers and we're standing in the grocery store sharing our life stories. There's a there's a heart covering your word right there. There's something not thought care. Yeah. So anyway, I just shared that to talk about the hotness of authenticity, the hotness of truth, especially where there's shame. I want to add that important part where there's shame. Shame has strength in the dark. I repeat, shame has strength in the dark. As soon as you bring something shameful to the light, it loses its strength. Remember that. So if you have a parent, because this is very common with mothers with their daughters, like mothers who are still hiding, playing small, right? And are unwilling to grow up in that department, and then you start to become free, and they, try to assert some kind of shame or power over. But it can also happen with the men in your life, church. It can happen with anybody. Somebody come at you with something where you get tense and some shame come up, you can feel some judgment, you can feel some, that's your moment right there to get free and to turn right around and look at your mom, whatever the topic is, her telling you, if you looking too much like a slut, ain't no man gonna want to marry you. You turn right on around and say, Mom, I'm a slut. Mom, I'm a slut. Whether you are or not, this is not the point. The point is bring shame to the light. Mom, you're not shaming me. You're not shaming me. I'm not going to, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. I, or even having a conversation where you feel like, I remember being afraid to make more money than my mother. Anybody here have something like that? You're afraid to be an actual woman in front of your mother? This is one of those things that women, we don't normally talk about until we start talking about some real shit, right? Afraid to be an actual woman in front of your mother versus just her daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for a lot of us, it's like, I'm the daughter, so I'm in this inferior place. My mom is in the superior place. And so it's almost like you don't stand up with your back straight around your mom because she's the mom. You know what I mean? And it's like, you don't be who you really are around her. It's sort of like you turn on a certain little girl. You as be 40 years old, kind of like, yes, mom. And then as soon as you leave the house, it's like, yeah, cause right? And some mothers, not all, right? But some mothers use that as a tool to be power over their kids, right? To keep you playing small, to keep you scared, to keep you shamed. And it's not a good thing. Like some parents are like caring, they want to be careful, right? As a mom. But some moms are doing it because of their own insecurities, their own upsets, playing small, whatnot. And for the moms who doing that, you have the conversation. Because I used to be scared of making more money than my mom. And so how that showed up is I wouldn't even talk about financial accomplishments in my business, even though I wanted to. I wouldn't talk about financial accomplishments. I wouldn't talk about money goals. I wouldn't talk about just anything having to do with growth and money. And I wouldn't even talk to her, but I wanted to. I'm excited. And when I noticed, I remember I made a big financial goal and I could feel it was almost like a part of me didn't even want to fully step into this goal. And I could see it's like, if I really start going in this direction, I'm going to be making more money than my mother. And I was scared. I was scared to make more money than my mother. That's wild. When I say that out loud now, that is wild. You scared to make more money than your mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Yeah, I was. And I realized, oh my God, I have to talk to my mom about this. I have to like go talk to the very person who I'm scared of this dynamic with because I needed to get free around it. That's why I needed to get free around it. Again, bring shame to the light. Shame, fear, it only works in the dark. So, for the maybe one of you I will work with here, who knows, you never know, right? But for the one or two or three of you who are here that I will work with privately, again, go to the link in my bio on TikTok to fill out the application. So go up to the bio, there's a link. There's like 7 options. At the very bottom, there's an application to complete. If you're on YouTube. The link to the application is in the description. But a lot of the work we do is having you move through shame and fear, particularly because as you start to do this unconscious work and you realize so much about you don't know, but that this is where your all of you is. This is where your divinity is. This is where your wholeness is. This is when you start talking about being a walking model of divinity. Do you want two men? Ooh, girl, my mama gonna bury me. What? But that's actually part of what you actually desire. And that would bring you into such authenticity of who you are. And that raises your vibration. For the person here earlier who was like raising your frequency, it, if so much of you is locked behind shame and in the dark, how your frequency gonna get up and stay up? Do you actually believe you can have a high frequency with so much of you in the dark? With you being so ashamed and so afraid? Can you have a high frequency? This is one of those things that's evident, but I don't think we really see it until we see it. Can you have a high frequency? Meaning you can move around planet Earth without concern for being found out, seen through, exposed. You're not concerned with these rejection. It's not balanced. You see, so I'm giving voice to this because so much online content and spirituality is so heavy on the light side with all of this heavy, dark, dense shit dragging on the other side. So you over here working overtime to try to maintain light. Talk about a high frequency because you drank some green juice and went for a walk and meditated. So what happened in your meditation? What happened? How did it go? Huh? Like love and light. Love and light, girl. Love and light. Love and light. Huh? The reason why you all are so much enjoying being here right now and you're loving this is because of the light that's here. You know how I got here? Dealing in the dark, not drinking green juice and meditating and working out. And all those things are great. So I'm not debased, I'm not defiling. Those things are great. I had a juice this morning with pomegranate and ginger and two other fruits. Great. I also went to work out today. Great. Sat in the sauna for 10 minutes. Great. They're all band-aids. They're all the cherry on top. You cannot be true love and light. You cannot be a walking model of divinity. You cannot be all of you. You cannot be unapologetic. You cannot walk around the world stage, online, in your content, offline, or got a big ego, such a huge ego. I love his big ego. It's too much. He walk like this cause he can back it up. He talk like this cause he can back it up. You walk like this cause you can back it up. And you can back it up in your being. We're not even talking about money. We're talking about in your being because you have done so much work of bringing everything that's dark about you, dirty, filthy, shameful, fearful, mean, into the light. And part of that is going to happen in relationship with people, which is why I constantly talk about my woman community. Why I talk about us working privately together, why I talk about you going to hire somebody to help you, hire somebody who is sincere about bringing dark into light. And for somebody to be sincere about that, that means they have to be doing it too. That's why some of y'all have seen a therapist and you could see the limitations of your therapist. So if your therapist is not working with bringing dark into the light, they're only going to go so far with you. Who here has experienced that? Where you start to go to some dark places with your therapist and you can see them getting uncomfortable and trying to veer you in a certain direction, etc. Catherine said, "Oh, me." She said, "Just meditate." Right. Love and light. Love and light. Love and light. So when you going out there to decide to hire somebody, a medicine woman, a therapist, a psychotherapist, a healer, a coach, a mentor, or whatnot, make sure they have it as a habit. Not like they went through a course on shadow and now mm-mm, she need to be working in grungy stuff. Like, she need to be full on into that shit. Like, clients are bringing some of the most darkest, shameful, filthy things to me to bring that shit to the light. But then also taking action in particular domains that they have avoided, run from, or didn't even know was in there. It's like here. It's like when I tell you it's all here all the time, you just can't see it because you locked up with all of this shame and darkness, so you can't see what's right here. It's right here, but you just, yeah, I know I'm talking about. And then you start taking action on things. The part of the power of the mentorship is your nervous system is getting familiar with this new way of being. Because right now, it's so much of it is that your nervous system is not used to being free. I know being free sounds good. I know being divine sounds good. And so much of spirituality is, it's like it sweetens you. It's so oh my God, yes, divine. Ah, such a light. And it's been seductive and hypnotic. And the truth is, oh God. I thought so, but wait. Shit you didn't even know. Like navigating shit you didn't even know was gonna happen. This is why I say, I know you think you want to know all of who you are, but no, you don't. You don't want to deal with the discomfort of losing who you're gonna lose on the way. You don't want to deal with that year of sadness because yeah, you don't want to deal with that year of sadness. The comfort of life, spirit, huh? So that in between, that in between, excuse me. What do I mean when I say that in between? I mean, when you really start engaging in the work that you would engage in with me, which again, we're dealing very much in your hidden self, your unconscious self, which is where so much of your power is. The light that you want to bring forth, the divinity, the ability to really be free and unapologetic and walk out here in a way that's truly stable. It's not you trying to like, I'm unapologetic and I don't give a fuck and all of this loud. It's so scared, these people who be out here with all this hollering. You're going to become truly exceptional. Okay, so, and I know that sounds so good to the unrefined ego. Oh, exceptional, rare. So special. Oh my God. Oh my, yes, because I'm rare, because I'm exceptional, because I'm anybody who truly becomes rare and exceptional spent a lot of fucking time in the valley, in the dark. So the in between, the what you would traverse, which basically you're traversing you. This is not out there. You're traversing you. You're suppressing what you've run from, what you didn't want to do. I remember being like, I'm just running from my power because I was like, I don't want to deal with the devil and his concubines. I don't want to deal with people. Like, I don't want to deal with, like, I already know, like I mentioned earlier, about when you, especially as a melanin dominant woman, when you really start coming into power, no, I mean real power. I don't mean like TikTok power. I don't mean like bad bitch power that anybody can just, I don't know, get you a wig and a cute outfit and, mm, mm, I don't mean that kind of power. I mean the kind of power where just your mere presence is a disruption to people and you willed it to do what you actually want to do in the world. So I'm talking about starting movements for those of you who want to start true power movements. I'm talking about showing up online, consistently creating the content, talking about the things that are very taboo, that are very exposing the church, that are very anti status quo. And not because you're fighting anything out there, it's because you're standing in the truth of what you know and you're actually saying it out of your mouth consistently, deliberately, with an intent to lead people. This is a whole other power for melanin dominant folk. Oh, we get online and talk all day about 4B and let me tell you how to know if your husband hates you and you can't trust nobody. And we got so much to say and ain't saying shit. We so mad at this is how I know. This is why I don't fuck with women. See, this is why black women need to do this. And y'all see everybody hollering, hooting and hollering all over TikTok. It's everywhere, everywhere. Like, girl, shut up. Are you gonna lead? Are you gonna lead something? No, because leadership will require a whole other development. Leadership will require real power. Leadership will require you traversing the dark in you, the you that has you attracting narcissists all the time, attracting men who don't see you, who even think that they can come at you with fuck shit. See, because your vibration is off. Because, see, you run from your power. See, because you've been offloading it on trying to look good, look a certain way. So, this is what I mean. Do you really want all of you? Do you really want all of you? You automatically place yourself in another league when you start owning all of you, which is a commitment to uncovering your unconscious mind. Thank you for sharing the live. It's so much. Exactly. I imagine you talking about everywhere, just talking, just. And here's the thing: for those of you who know, right? For those of you who know, what do I mean by those of you who know? Those of you who quietly you've been doing your own solo work to come into your power. Quietly, it's hidden, like you doing it's just you and you. Nobody knows you're doing it. Maybe a friend. eh, And you know that there's only so far you're going to go by yourself, but you know enough to know that the content that's out here on the internet is not going to take us where we like. This is not helping us. When I say us, I mean not only the collective of humans, but particularly melanin dominant women. We start dividing, right? Particularly melanin dominant women, and then further melanin dominant women who are of a particular call for power. And you've yet to come out. Hello, ding, ding, ding. Listen, lean in. You. Okay. Now I'm talking to you specifically. You've yet to come out because you know that you're going to be automatically in the domain of rareness. And while to the ego, rare sounds so like attractive, rare, different, exceptional. Out here in the real world, rare means, yeah, rare mean is most likely when you first start coming out and getting your bearings, you're not going to get a lot of engagement. You might have some people being like, "Girl, you need to go back to that other content you was creating, girl." What you trying to be political now? Who you think you are? Girl, please, Earth is ghetto. Girl. Woo, woo, woo. Again, do you really want to be all of you? How about why? Why do you want to be all of you? That's a good one right there. Why? What do you expect to be the return on investment for being all of you? Why? What's that going to do for you? Being all of you. Why is that important? What's so real? Love goddess. Fear of being seen. Yep. Rare is scary. Yep. Just hopped on here. So I don't have to come back and learn. I'm telling you, that's a big one. So I don't have to come back and learn, bitch. Listen, believe me. Oh God, a woman said that. She was like, "Is she?" So I don't have to come back to this motherfucker. That's why. Hold on, I need to plug up my phone. Girl, so I don't have to come back to this motherfucker. Shit. And learn these lessons. Hilarious. So I had to unplug one of my lights to plug this one up. All right. I was at 5%. Liquid said, I used to hold my breath around my mother. Ooh. Oh, you were saying that back to earlier. Okay. Ooh, child. Mamas. It's a bond right there. It's a tight bond right there. Even if it's, like, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. I'm tired of getting in my own way and self-sabotaging. That's a big one right there. I keep stopping myself from being successful. I'm tired of being the person who's not going anywhere. Ooh. Ooh. Why? Why? Like, why? Why is all of you? What I noticed also earlier is that when I asked, for those of you who are giving me these, and maybe this is too, you're not ready for this work in a real way, but, and Chris made a comment too, to edify the point about um, going deeper is where you're going to find the power, the wholeness of your divinity, the all of you. It's not in these because I'm scared, because I'm a people pleaser, because I'm anxious, because, and like somebody commented here, I don't know me. I don't know me. Do I know me? How do I know me? Who is me? You see, and for me, as the mentor, as the coach, what excites me is when you are being very deliberate because you know something like, I really want to teach whoever you want to teach, right? Melanin dominant women, CEOs, gardeners. Um, I know a woman who wants to teach people how to garden, but she also wants to look good while she does it, how to grow their own food. And she wants to be like really expressive. And you know, um, she wants to express more of herself as a woman who's teaching people about how to grow their own food, right? And so there's a freedom that she's looking for in her expression, where she's not policing, she's not trying to be nice because, you know, I don't want to, male attention and, I'm a wife and ah, I know I am not a tired black woman. Is that what you said? I know I am not a tired black. uh, how can I meet my needs if I don't know myself fully? So that's a good one for women, particularly. And this is where an erection of the feminine is so important. When I say the erection of the feminine, I mean the erection of the feminine in men and women. Okay? An erection of the feminine in men and women. Now, I'm going to talk about it from the woman's angle because intuition, two, because of a deep felt sense, a deep felt sense. Now, this is very active work that I'm happy to take women into when we work together. You can also download Own All Energies to begin this on your own. You can get that for free. It's my process for helping you start to come home to your body. If you go to the link in my bio, you would have to come over to TikTok, YouTube, but it'll be there later. You go up there, same link where the application is, there's an option to own all energies. It's free. You can get it right now. And it's to help you start to come home to revering your feminine essence. And uh, it's very much about embodiment. And to bring this back to the question of how do I get my needs met when I don't know who I am, part of why, and what I said earlier about women are constantly denying what they most want. So there's a way that we become numb. Okay, we become numb, and I'd be like, so what do you want? I don't know. I don't know. You don't have to go think about it, meditate, pray, and all that. And oftentimes, what that means is I'm so disconnected from myself because I've been so sacrificial for so long, because I've been like this for so long. When I'm in pain and dissatisfied and trying to do good and be good. And the whole time I'm sick inside. I'm resentful inside. I'm agitated. I'm growing more and more numb, more and more numb. So my body is talking to me all the time, but I'm constantly trying to be good because I'm a wife and a mom, and I have to make sure I'm a mom, so I can't do that. I'm a wife, so I can't. This is what I mean by marriage gives you what you want and it takes what you need. It gives you what you want and it takes what you need. This y'all know that divorce attorney who's gone viral. He got the tattoos. He's always in like a white collar shirt. And the first time he went viral, his shirt was rolled up, and he's been a divorce attorney for like 20 years. And he talked about um Give you what you want, take what you need. Oh, he talked about marriage as a technology. That's what he talked about. I was like, how did he come into this? He talked about marriage as a technology. And he because he has a front row seat in so many divorces, he knows like what's really going on with people. And he talked about the stats have stayed at like 57% divorce rate nationwide for everybody. 57% rate. He said, and then about 20% of the people out of the, so that would leave what, 43-ish percent of people who are married. He said, out of the 43% who stay married, he said about 20-ish percent of those, they're not thriving together. They're not actually happy together. He said they're together for the kids, for money, they're scared to be alone, etc. Right? He just filled it in, right? Because he said a lot of people come to him to even contemplate if they even want to get a divorce. Okay. Some people come, right? He just really went into it. Y'all know this divorce attorney I'm talking about? He was on Diary of a CEO recently, white man. And he said, so basically the stats are that marriage is, he said it has a 76% failure rate. He said, if I told you this technology, any technology that you were looking to buy has a 76% failure rate, would you buy the technology? Would you want to use it? Would you buy it? Would you be interested in using it? He's like, no. He's like, but people constantly do it. He said, I understand why. The quest for love. The quest for love. The quest to have that deep longing connection to love and be loved. This is what marriage sells us. This is the marketing behind marriage. The same love, we can get that love outside of marriage. That's not the point. The point was we keep signing up for this technology that's failing 76% of the time. And one of the ways that it fails for women is that we're so busy trying to subscribe to what old white men says that a wife is supposed to be. You cook and clean, and now everybody on the internet, so many women. This is not a small number of women. This is large numbers of women of all races. This is not even a black woman thing. Of all races, we see them on the internet all day, hating marriage, so happy to be single, so happy to be divorced, traveling, making money, dating younger men, remarrying men who actually respect them and like them and see them as humans. Talking about how they were overweight and miserable and resentful and tired and lost who they were, and now they look 10, 15, 20 years younger. They lost weight, they found their creativity, their spark, their sexual magnetism, they're having great sex, they're traveling, they're making money. Because marriage, modern day marriage, for most people, apparently, because it's a failure for 76% of marriages, it gives you what you want, but it takes what you need. It gives you what you want, but it takes what you need. And right, love from others is used to fill in gaps or for validation. Exactly. We don't want to love ourselves fully, yet we crave for someone else to love us fully. Why are you putting that as a question, Chris, when you know you're putting that as a statement? I can't do something and be a mom. Ah, that's a good one. A lot of mothers deal with that. Yeah. Like, I don't know who even came up, and maybe you can say more about it, Catherine. I don't know who came up with this idea that if you're a mom, you can't be sexy, or if you're a mom, you can't travel with your kids. If you're a mom, you can't do this. If you're like, where does that even come from? I remember I was in Sacramento, which is where I am oftentimes, and a mom was at the grocery store. She had a baby in a like the car seat or whatever, that carrying seat. She had it in the grocery basket. And I think she had another small kid with her that looked to be maybe 4, if I remember. I know for sure it was the baby in the basket, and I think she had another small kid with her. When I tell you, this cute, she looked not like sexy, but sexy. She had on a halter dress that came to her knees, and it's just not something you typically see. But normally moms look tired and wore out, and maybe they look like they took a shower that day and put on some decent clothes, and especially when they have small kids. And it's like, you know, and I don't know where this came from. And I remember telling her, when I saw her, I went over to her and I said, "You look stunning." And I told her, I said, "I love that you're a mom and you look so good and you have on this dress." And she just lit up. She was just like, "Thank you." You know what I mean? With this small, it was just such a joy to see. Or I've been, in other hot spots, so anywhere, particularly in the south of France, and I see a couple with small kids with the nanny right there, or even just the mom with the nanny right there. Because moms can travel with small children too. Where did this, you know what I'm saying? Moms can't be shit but yoga pants and a throwback ponytail. Yeah, I love that a lot of moms are taking they're like, no, I don't have to be, I don't have to lose who I am and be miserable as a mom. And like, I can be hot. I can be attractive. I can, you know what I mean? I can get help. How about that? Somebody to come in here and help me with these kids. So to wrap up, I think the point about being all of yourself. And then there was a connection that I was making about marriage and it went somewhere. But I also want to, I think marriage is great when it's intentional. Like you really know why you're doing marriage and it's not used to fill some kind of insecurity you have within yourself. I don't feel like I need to go into that. I think enough of y'all know what's up with that. If I had to do it again, I'd get a nanny. They grown now. Yeah. Okay, so in closing, now's the time to ask questions because I'm getting ready to be on my way out of here if there are no questions. Also, I've already mentioned the application, so I'm mentioning that again. If you know that I am the coach and or mentor for you, okay, this is high level work. You're not going to like it, maybe often, okay? It's going to change your life. You're going to change. You're going to become all of you. This is very high level. It's dark. We're dealing with your unconscious mind, okay? It is the divinity you seek. For those of you who are truly called to be whole and rare, whether you're called to be public facing or not, okay? Um, if you're called to be walking divinity, okay, and you already know that you're dangerous, even if you have been performing a lot, you've been lying a lot, you know that you are dangerous. You know that when you truly own all of who you are and that you bring her out. And here's the thing, it's such a responsibility because you can do a lot of negative harm and you can do a lot of good things. This is the truth about real power. This is the truth. When you start truly dealing in the highest domains of power, it is not about good and bad. It's about how are you choosing to wield this power that you now have access to. That's what it comes down to. So for those of you who are worried about doing harm, you will have the potential to do harm. That's what comes with being all of you. That's what comes with being an illuminated being. So if you didn't know that, now you know. Okay? So you will have free will to choose how you will wield your full power. So if you are called to do big things in the world, if you are called to change the world, if you are called to be all of you, if you are called to be walking divinity, if you are called to be an example of what a walking God looks like, which is all, yes or no? Almighty? What it, I don't know. I do know. Do you know? Do you know Almighty? Like, are you called to be a walking example of God? Because God is Almighty. I know it's a concept, it's a high power. Are you called to be that? Who here is called to be that? Who's called to be a walking example of God, walking divinity, illuminated? Who's called to that? Who's called to be all of you? I want everyone here to look at fear as speed. Master Nigel was the first one who talked about fear this way years ago, and it's true. Anxiety also. Remember I talked to you earlier about anxiety, and that if you take away your judgment of anxiety, because when it starts to happen sensationally in the body, we immediately give it a name, and the name we give it is anxiety. When there's or fear. So, and your interpretation of anxiety appears a negative one, right? If I say to you, the same sensation that you call anxiety is actually speed, how does that change things? When I tell you the thing that you're calling fear is actually high vibration running through your body very fast, how does that change the experience of it for you? See, this is the kind of advanced thinking and being that you will practice and rehearse in our working relationship. This is high level. This ain't like go meditate and talk to your ancestors. Go pray. Go sit down and do some like shadow prompts. Go journal. Now I'm not gonna say you ain't gonna journal, right? That's your thing, that's your thing. I'm not gonna say you ain't gonna talk to your ancestors and all that. Whatever's your thing, do it. But what I'm telling you is I'll here, thank you. I'll say this. So many ways to say it. I'm God. I'm a master. I'm all. I'm rare. Mm. Some of the things that you'll be required to do is reconcile your fear of death, truly embody non attachment, truly embody non attachment. Get really comfortable with the dark. And I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on and on. It's not fear, it's like the speed of knowing. It's not, did you hear anything I just said about fear? And another way to look at it is you like fear actually. You like it. Don't you? Doesn't it feel like a drug? Like really feel it. What does fear feel like? Like activate it right now. It's exciting. Exactly. This is life. You're feeling life. You're on. There you go. You got to own all the energies. This is why my Own All Energies even exists. Again, you can get that for free with the link in my bio. Own All Energies. The things you're going to do with me, nobody else is going to have you doing them. The work you're going to do with me, I don't know nobody who's doing this kind of work. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it's definitely not out here. Being a disruptor, hey Cokes, being a disruptor takes a lot of emotional intelligence. This is the work we do. The initial love and the hate that comes after. Yeah, this is the work we do. The moment I realized change is a new adventure, I stopped being scared of change. Beautiful. You like it being paralyzing because then if you paralyze, you can do it again and again and again and again because you like it. You just won't admit that you like it. Again, do you really want all of you? Because I noticed only a few of y'all said all. You see what I mean? Like, you like just sitting here looking at me, taking me in. That's what you like. That's it. Right there. Who's that the case for? You don't actually want to go further and deeper and actually become powerful, but you like sitting here like this. How I feel. Hey, any questions? Any questions? Do you really, Wonderland? Do you really? What would less afraid give you? What action have you taken to become less afraid? Because I know you've been looking at my content for some time now. Have you invested in anything? Or that's the limitation of your desire to be less afraid? If I got to spend money, I ain't doing it. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm asking. I just asked you multiple questions. Get into it. Why do people attack more when you're in your power? Because they're not in theirs and your presence is a confrontation. You're welcome, Joni. All right, 35 seconds. You all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. What's your purpose for shaking things up, Wonderland? If y'all don't have no purpose for your power, you're not going to sustain. If you're just shaking things up, because what's your purpose? All of y'all here, what's your purpose of coming into your power? I know one person was already like, because I don't want to come back here. What else? What's your purpose for your power? I'm telling you, most of y'all, Wonderland, I don't think you want real power. You've been around for some months now. Most of y'all don't really want the power that I'm talking about. You might want to, like you say, you just want to be less afraid. That is so very telling right there. Less afraid. You know what I hear? You okay with being afraid, just less of it, you know?